Hey guys, Lance Martin with the Martin Group, and we are here back at our 2026 real estate market forecast. We're doing the in-studio version, and today our returning guest. How long has it been, Ed?
6,
was
8
it
years.
2019?
Yeah, something
okay,
like that.
Ed Hoffman. Okay, it's funny. I wanted to say wholesale capital because you're always going to be wholesale capital to me, right? But you are now with United American.
United American.
And how long have you been with United?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay. Well, welcome. You are our second in-studio guest. So most of you who probably know me or follow me, you either know Ed or have had, your paths have crossed. It'd almost be impossible.
Yeah, I've been doing this I'm in year 37 now.
37.
And I always used to say in the early days when people would say that, hey, I've been in this thing for 40 years, and so yeah, well, you're a dinosaur. Now I don't feel like a dinosaur.
Yeah, well, that's me too. I got my license in '87, started selling in '88. Mm-hmm. That's 38 years. So yeah, so right there, right there. So what? I just asked. I wasn't sure. I think it was 2019. You were on a panel. We spoke at the DoubleTree. Back when we were doing the big live events. Yep. So this is the deal. I brought you in because I don't know anybody in the mortgage business who's got more experience, more depth, more knowledge, and I trust you.
More of a gut feeling. What things are happening.
And 38 years or so of experience to deal with that.
Exactly.
So, okay, so let's do this. Okay, so 3 years with United. How many years? Well, that would have been, 34 years at Wholesale?
Wholesale Capital, we were there 26 years. 26 years, and then some regulations changed. TRID came in. TRID, which was the TILA, RESPA, and integrated
what year was that?
That was
18?
like 2016 or 17.
Okay, I remember that.
And we had to add $1 million of overhead to comply. I had to have a compliance department, a disclosure department. Had to have all these different people, all these different computer programs, and it added $1 million a year to our overhead. Yep. And I had a ton of big producers that I had trained from scratch.
You were one of, I don't know if you had to be, if not the number one originator in our little community. If you weren't number one, you had to be like a close second.
Exactly.
Right?
I don't know who else was bigger than us at the time.
Right.
But I let one guy go for getting out of control in social media, and he didn't want to go, but he landed it at a guaranteed rate, and he gave them a target list, and they came in and bought half a dozen of my big producers, and with all that extra overhead, without the volume, it just doesn't make money.
Wow. Okay. Well, you've stumbled into my thesis on our industry. It's broken. The real estate broker owner business is broken. Agents are fine. Good agents will be fine. But owning a mortgage company. I remember us talking about the government regulations. So let's go back. I'm going to talk about that. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. Okay, so Dodd-Frank came in what, 2012? 2010. So that changed a few things. And then I can't remember the TRID thing. So that was 16. What prompted that?
So that was all part of the original Dodd-Frank, but they implemented pieces of it.
Okay.
So Dodd-Frank came out, then you got the Home Valuation Code of Conduct. You had some different disclosures go on, and then in 2016 or 2017, they did the TILA RESPA integrated disclosure, where they took the truth in lending and the RESPA disclosure, combined it into one, because they're convinced that people can't understand the disclosures. That's why they walk into.
They got a bad loan, which is everybody's fault except their own.
Exactly.
Right.
And I had a caller in on my radio show at that time, and he goes, well, hey, when I need a loan, I call a mortgage guy. When I have a toothache, I call a dentist. And he goes, so you guys are the experts. So somebody suggested a 2-year fix. I said, well, how long have you been in your house? 10 years. How long do you expect to be there? Forever. And I said, so what makes any kind of sense about a 2-year fixed loan?
Yeah.
He goes, well, you know what? You guys are the experts. So I just and I said, well, if you went to the dentist and said, hey, he's got to pull one of your teeth, and he goes, and the best way to do it is I'm going to go up through your butt and pull it out and pull it down your throat and come out the other side.
Might get a second
Would you
opinion?
ask for a second opinion?
Well, there's a visual for it. Awesome. Okay. So that And I know you're a small government guy and you conservative politics and all the rest of that. So, given that was a government basically mandated regulation that came in and impacted them through $1 million of overhead,
Right.
and then that along with, I guess, competition for loan officers, and since you mentioned guaranteed rate or whatever, they came in and were buying your loan officer, which by the way is so similar to what happens in the real estate brokerage world, where
You get one good salesman and everybody wants them.
well, yeah, but then the purchasing agents, real estate agents, that's a thing now. It used to actually be, we would compete on, commission splits, which, whatever, I got to be competitive. And then it got to the point where you had large institutional brokerages that would come in and say, hey, come work for me. I'll give you a $100,000 signing bonus or a $500,000 signing bonus to an agent. It was unheard of. Okay, so that kind of sort of happened with you. So the wheels fell off, what, in 17, 18? It just wasn't
18,
profitable?
18. Well, we lost money in 17 and we were losing money in 18. And at 18, I said, you know what? I don't know how we survived losing this much money, other than the fact that I wasn't taking bonuses all those years. That we were making buku bucks. And as I see our assets dwindling, I said, before this starts to dwindle on my personal estate,
Yep.
I'm gonna come up with a solution.
Make a change.
And I went to a seminar at the Mortgage Bankers Conference about mergers and acquisitions, and it was the day before the conference started. I went up to San Francisco a day early, and the place was packed.
Right.
And because everyone's going through the same thing.
Right.
If you were a medium-sized mortgage banker, hard to compete. If you're a broker, you're fine, and if you're big, you're fine. But if you're a medium-sized, which is Wholesale Capital,
that was you.
And I just there's tons of companies out there that would love to have my company as a branch,
Right.
And which we did, and we went to Summit, and then at some point I realized that Summit wasn't the right fit. We went to Planet, and then when the interest rates went up, Planet closed all their offices in California,
Right.
and said, hey, you got till 5 o'clock.
And that was what, 2023?
That was 2020.
2, 3?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so we stumbled into. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. So if you're a large, so how about today? If I'm a gigantic mortgage banker today, I'm okay. Am I making money? I hear these things. You mentioned Barry Habib. We'll talk about Barry here in a minute. And I thought I heard it from Barry a few years ago that there was a window of time where lenders were losing money on every loan that they were originating, just to be competitive. Literally, like we're losing $2,000.
The only way to get loans is and the loan officers don't understand that, hey, there's no money in this loan.
Right.
They just want to get paid. Hey,
Right.
I'll bring in loans. So you say, okay, I'll bring in loans. I'll figure out how to make this work.
Right.
And I don't know that people are losing money, but when you think about all the time you put in, if you're not making a certain amount of money, it's just not worth it.
Right.
And but I love the business. So
Well,
I always
you're good
stayed at it. I'm a survivor, and I've always done big numbers. And when Planet Home Lending closed all their branches, they closed all their branches because if you're a direct lender, you have to pay your loan officers minimum wage minimum. And they clock hours, and you don't know how many hours they're really working. They just clock 40 hours. And if you don't recover, if they don't get it, if you can pull it out of their commissions, but if they don't get a commission for a month, and some companies will take it 3 months later, but but if you don't close a loan that month, that money's just gone.
Yep.
And then the companies that at Wholesale Capital, we were doing it to where hey, if you don't close a loan for 3 months, I'm taking that advance out of your commission.
Right.
And loan officers would get there and go, okay, if I close this loan here, I'm gonna lose it all because I haven't gotten advances. So they just change companies.
Right. Yep.
So it's, hey, just
Is that
change
still,
companies.
does that still go on today? Because I know that was the case years ago.
Does it still go on today? I think people smartened up. I mean, when at Wholesale Capital was saying, "Hey, I lost a bunch of people. I need to bring some more people in," and anybody that said, "Hey, I'm a loan officer. I'm experienced. I got a license. Blah blah. Come on."
Yep.
And you don't realize until you get bit by it that a lot of them are just looking for free health insurance and a guaranteed minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
Until you figure out they don't know how to sell loans.
Okay, just for clarity, Ed and I, we did like zero preparation for this. We sat down, and I've known you for a long time. You know me. We have other relationships outside of this, but with zero preparation, I guess let me throw you maybe the curveball that says, okay, here we are. So, with real estate agents, there's 1.3 million real estate agents in the National Association of Realtors. There's a stat in here. You might have seen it. 71% of the agents did zero transaction. Okay, and then I did the math. I got a little card up here. It's on the forecast stuff. You guys can take a peek at it. Basically, about 7%, 71%, nothing. 7% did basically the equivalent of 10 transactions a year or more. So less than one a month. Okay. But the reality is we don't really lose agents. People just kind of hang around. They got a business card. I don't have to pay them. They're independent contractors. There is no minimum wage base. Now, I've heard some stuff with loan officers recently, that the number of loan officers that have exited the business to whatever, back to selling cars or whatever the heck they did before, was pretty big. This is what we didn't prepare for, so I don't know if you have that number.
In January of 2024 to January of 2025, 50% of the loan officers that were licensed mortgage loan originators, gone.
50%, basically, so 2024, half of them.
Right.
Okay.
And then and the ones that, out of that 50%, there's 16% of them that averaged at least one a month.
The remaining 50%.
Of the remaining 50%, so about 8%. Similar. See the
Yeah.
difference between
Yeah.
mortgage loan originators. You got to renew your license every year.
Right.
Realtors don't have to renew their license except for every 4 years, so you don't fall out as fast.
Yeah, but I think there's more. I think loan officers honestly have more skin in the game because and their employers, their brokers, or whoever's employing them are like, hey, if you're not originating, you can't stay here. If you've got that minimum wage, we don't have that with realtors. You have offices that have large numbers of non-producing agents. Well, you don't cost me anything.
Right.
Now there's an argument to be made that everybody costs you something,
Yeah,
whether they're
exactly.
producing or not. But as in our business, our real estate broker owner business, okay, we'll keep those folks around. So at least the mortgage business in 2024 said nope. So is that number increased in 25 or?
I haven't seen the 2025 numbers yet, but I would say I mean I know a lot of people that were doing loans,
Right.
and now they're not.
Yep.
It's like you know some people that were working for me that just don't come around anymore.
That's right.
And it's, hey, I'm going to sell cookies, or I'm going to sell
It's tough
or
business.
I'm going to do something where they give me a minimum wage and do something, so at least I'm bringing in some money.
Well, the transaction volume, which ties into the same thing. Okay, so if you look at, and let's just track that. Okay, so COVID was awesome. I mean, COVID was not awesome, but as far as our business was concerned,
interest
rates
super
were
low.
sub 3%.
People were buying.
We panicked for the month of March when we, 2 weeks to stop the spread. Remember, 2 weeks to stop the spread. And then I can remember like the first or second. That, by the way, that was I think it was like March 14th, and I only remember it was in that week because our annual real estate market forecast was scheduled at the Fox Theater on Wednesday, whatever that is, that second week of March, and the Friday before is when everything was starting to get a little bit weird. And I remember talking to the Fox Theater. And I'm like, hey, are we going to do this? Because they think they just canceled a hockey game or something like that. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're doing it. And the next day they called me and said, nope, everything's all shut down. So for 2-3 weeks, you and I both were probably like, oh, crap, this isn't good. And then by the time we got to the first week of April, like, wow, this is crazy. All these people want to buy houses.
Yeah.
Okay, so we ripped. We had a great 2020, a great 2021.
And I'll throw this in. How many mortgage companies, how many real estate brokers, how many escrow companies and title companies went in for Paycheck Protection Program loans that were doing 150% of
I don't
their
say all of them, but a lot of them.
I didn't.
Yeah. Well, because you're a small government,
I'm not losing anything. Why would I ask the government to subsidize?
Yeah. Well, that's a different conversation, but it does remind us of the timing of what was going on. A lot of crazy stuff. But so transaction volume was fantastic. Sales prices, which unfortunately I remember saying in 20, were we doing these snapshots on them? I don't know if we were doing them here or not, but I certainly was doing the market data stuff during 2020 2020 and 2021. And I just remember, Jesus Christ, man, we're got 20% appreciation this year, and we can't do that again. And then guess what we did? 20% appreciation next year.
Because everybody was so crazy. I need to buy a house.
Right, which was awesome, but not. So part of I think the challenge we have now is we saw such huge appreciation numbers in 2020, 21, 22, slowed down a little bit in 23. But we did great transaction volume. Prices were up. We were making money. You guys were making money. And then interest rates go from 3% to 6%. When did that? Was that 2023?
2022, I think.
I've got a little chart here on that somewhere. I don't. Yeah. Okay. So, here's my little interest rate chart.
When I look at my past clients, I say, okay, we financed them last time in 2021. Can't refinance them because they're in the 2s or the 3s.
Right. Yep.
But anybody after that, all bets are off.
Yeah. What's interesting, you mentioned refis a minute ago in our pregame, so we'll get to that in a second. But I want to get back to the agent count and the loan officer count and that 50% haircut in 2024 of loan officers. But it makes perfect sense because I've been griping about transaction volume for 3 years now, okay? 3.5 years. And the transaction volume, number of units sold, again, and people, oh yeah, but you did such a great time in 2021. The volume, those were great years, but the volume in prior years was even greater. It wasn't like it was like awesome, because we had been stumbling around coming through the foreclosure crisis.
Exactly.
And so we had a great couple years, but bottom line, the volume of transactions, houses being sold, were 40% less and continue to be 40% less. Well, 40% less houses being sold is 40% less loans being done and 40% everything.
Yep, exactly.
So let's talk about rates right now. Okay, so we peaked somewhere at
mid sevens.
Mid sevens. Now we're down at
low
6.
Low 6s, high 5s.
So what does that mean for you? You feel good about the 2026?
Oh yeah, I feel really good about 2026 in that we have Donald Trump in there for 1 year and now things are starting to happen.
Okay.
People are overly negative about, hey, the prices haven't come down yet. Interest rates haven't come down yet. But he put a lot of things into play that needed to happen so that everything in the economy could get better.
Right.
And I see the rates getting better, and as the rates get better, refinance volumes is going up.
Right.
And purchases are going up.
Okay.
And they don't go up. We haven't got a big reduction in rates, but if you look at last year's statistics on home sales, the last 4 months, it's increased.
Yeah.
And I know that Kevin Warsh is coming in to replace.
I was going to ask you if you had an opinion on the new Fed chair.
I don't know him that well, but I know what the people that know him say.
Yeah.
And they would call him dovish as opposed to hawkish, which apparently means he's in favor of lowering rates.
Lowering rates, yeah.
But one of the things that some of the mentors that I connect to have said that Jerome Powell is doing rates. He's looking in the rearview mirror. Hey, look at what happened. And instead of looking at what's happening and projecting it out and seeing what's going on, and hence Trump calls him too late Powell.
Too late, yeah.
And so when the inflation started going up, well, this is just transitory. It's just going to happen for a little bit, and then it's going to go back down. Well, it wasn't. And so Powell didn't increase the rates as he should have to slow it down, and he waited until it was too late, and inflation was 9.1, and then as it's coming, then he lowered it in 24 3 times, and then stopped again until September of 25, and then started doing it, and the indicators from the people that I listen to say, hey, this is happening. This is time to lower rates.
Yep.
And so I'm optimistic about getting rid of Jerome Powell and getting Kevin Warsh in there. I'm optimistic about the impact of all the foreign investment, and even domestic investment in this country from companies that were manufacturing in China and other countries because it was cheaper, and they're bringing all that stuff back, which will bring in more jobs. And of course, the AI people say, hey, we're gonna lose tons of jobs, but I think, hey, Amazon Amazon came in and screwed up all the retail people,
Yep.
and but all those people went to working in warehouses and making boxes and doing this and doing that, and it creates more jobs. And I'm sure AI will be the same.
Yeah, I look at the AI, which is funny, we talked, again, on our 3-minute setup, we talked a little bit about Bruce Norris's thing and his forecast, so maybe we'll jump into that, but let's talk about the AI thing. Yeah, I'm excited about it, you know? I mean, I look at some, oh, yeah, that could be interesting, but, you know, is it gonna impact certain professions? Yeah, sure, I suppose, but, you know, whatever that is, you know, we live in that world, and
We'll adapt.
we'll adapt.
We'll improvise. We'll overcome.
Now, is it going to disrupt the real estate business, the mortgage business? Sure, I don't
Probably
know,
at some
maybe.
point.
Okay, but we'll adapt. You know, I mean, geez, we could already do away with apparently 71% of the real estate agents anyway. Have got their own challenges and their stuff going on.
Well, the one thing I noticed, I called into a company that put in some doors in our house, and I need them adjusted. And I call and they go, I'm your virtual assistant, and they say, okay, give me your zip code. And I'm figuring it's taking my zip code and my phone number and determining who I am.
Yep.
And then this, okay, what kind of house? It's like, I'm not calling in to buy more stuff. I'm calling in for customer service.
Yeah.
And I said, let me talk to a human.
At what point did you hang up?
When I said, let me talk to a human, then they sent me a thing saying, call this number to talk to a human.
Right.
And so, but people, the AI stuff is okay till at a point you just get tired of it.
Yep.
And people buying a house are always going to want to talk to someone and say, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
AI doesn't think.
Yeah, I do think there's a certain amount of protection, and I might be wrong, but I think there's a certain amount of protection in our profession, and I also think it translates into the loan profession. 'Cause
Absolutely.
People are afraid of buying houses. You know, they're afraid, and they want to make sure they got that, and they need to see it, and they need to touch it. And I don't think there's going to be any, you know, Tesla robots that are going to be showing houses anytime soon. And I certainly think buyers are afraid of the process. They're afraid. Now, part of them might say, well, maybe I'm more comfortable talking to ChatGPT, kind of figuring the process out a little bit. But when it comes down to it, they're going to want to talk to somebody that they can trust, that they can go through. But
Hey, what does this mean?
right.
And the AI is gonna give you a big old long drawn out legal representation, as opposed to a person say, don't worry about that. All that's saying is this.
Yep.
And
Well, interesting on the AI, and then I want to talk about Bruce Norris's take on that, and then bring in Chris Thornburg's take. We talked about where they are potentially with their interest rate forecast. But I had two exact opposite experiences with AI with utility companies, and I'm going to mess one up. Either Edison was awesome and the gas company sucked, or vice versa. I don't know what it was. But I never have to do this, but I recently had the need to contact and get some utilities handled. I'm doing that myself. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I got the AI thing. And I think it was Edison, if I give him some love. And it was awesome. I was like, okay, whatever they did, however they got it figured out, and I actually was like, perfect. And I didn't have to talk to a human. I didn't want to talk to a human. It was quick, it was efficient. It was a wonderful experience. 3 minutes later, I called the gas company, or again, might have been vice versa. Dude, the worst. I mean, the worst. Literally, I am screaming at a computer on the phone, representative. Like, I mean, went on and on and on. But it's not like I could have called another gas company. I was stuck with it.
exactly.
So at any rate, crazy stuff. All right, so
I mean, I've had experiences with AI that has worked really good. Wow, that one works really good. But
yeah,
well, people aren't going to buy a house talking to an AI.
I don't see it. I don't see it. Okay, so I've been obsessed with interest rates. I've been obsessed with Jerome Powell. I've been obsessed with the 10-year bond and the spread and all this stuff now for whatever, so going back to 2023 and when things started to blow up. Okay, we got a new Fed chair coming in. We'll see what that looks like. And I know you have an affection for Chris Thornburg, tongue in cheek. But we'll maybe, I don't know if we have time to get into that today. But by the way, he's not a fan of Powell's. He's like, Powell has messed this up. Chris is not a fan. But Chris, on September of 2025, did my last forecast and said under certain circumstances we could see 9% interest rates. He didn't say that in 2026, but he says, you know, we've got some pressures, certain things happen, there's pressure on the dollar, and 9% interest rate. And the crowd was like, oh, you know, and he's like, what?
Well, I think what would cause that is if they take the dollar as the standard currency worldwide.
Yep.
Because all of a sudden we won't have the ability to to print money when we overspend.
Okay.
The good thing about that is that Trump administration is going after all the fraud.
Right.
And there's no reason we can't balance a budget. There's no reason a family can't balance their own budget.
What fraud?
What fraud? Exactly.
Right.
And I think if the Democrats stop getting in the way of making progress on these things that they know is wrong too, that we'll see some changes by the end of Trump's term,
Okay.
and that can change it all. Do I think that the standard that we're going to get off the dollar and get on to crypto? Likely.
Really?
Likely. I don't.
Yeah.
I
don't know enough about the crypto thing.
I have not invested in any of it, and because I don't understand why it goes up. Hey, it's a currency. You take your dollars, turn it into bitcoins. Why does that Bitcoin get more expensive?
Well, because
why does it drop?
But yeah, it's an investment, and people are excited about it, and if
It's all the emotion.
fear of missing out. And I know there's a thing for it. Talks about it's like who's as long as there's somebody else to buy. Mm-hmm. The kind of like tulip thing. And I know Adam, our video guy, is a big crypto guy and loves it. And I don't hate it. I kind of feel like I screwed up. I remember hearing about Bitcoin when it was like
$5,000.
Not even that, dude. I remember hearing about it when it was like less than $1,000. I'm like, what is this? I think my sister-in-law, Diane. Hey, Diane, if you're watching, I think I heard it from her. And then it was $1,000. Then it was $5,000. And I've seen it do this. And then it was $125,000. I think today it's 68. But anyway, who knows? But let's get back to the interest rates because that's your wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. So Chris is like, hey. By the way, Chris Thornburg was like, hey, if you can get an interest rate, which I do agree with. He said, if you can get an interest rate. He said this a few months ago, at 6.5 or low sixes, take it, okay? Because who knows what's going to happen. Bruce Norris comes out, get into AI, has some concerns. AI, he feels, could impact unemployment. I think he threw out a number of 15%, and Bruce is saying we could see interest rates at like 2%. And nowhere, so Chris is at 9, Bruce is potentially at 2, which, by the way, we talked about this earlier. If unemployment's at 15%, it doesn't really matter what interest rates are because we're screwed.
It's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, it's a bad time. So what does Barry Habib say?
Barry Habib seems to think that we've got room in the economy to drop about a point or point and a half.
Okay.
And so I tend to listen to him more than Chris Thornburg.
So 5% or even sub 5?
So we could see something in the high 4s, which I think a year from now we might be in the high 4s.
Yeah.
We're in the high 5s now, low 6s.
Yep.
We could be in the high 4s. We're getting 4% in the VA loans now.
Right.
Not 4%, but in the 4s.
Right.
And so is that possible? I think it's possible, and I think it's likely with what's going on. I don't know why it would ever go to 1 or 2%. If that's all hinged on unemployment.
Yeah. Well, that would be bad.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah,
but I don't know why it would go up higher than that either.
Yeah. Well, if you're not familiar with Barry Habib, by the way, MBS Highway, he's a legend in forecasting that and the mortgage, bond, guru. But Barry's about as respected as they get. But he's been a little off the last couple of years. Some of his forecasting the last couple of years has been wrong, flat out.
Which some of it he said, hey, this is what should happen, and he goes, but Jerome Powell's not moving on this stuff.
Right.
Fair enough. The factors that should make rates go lower are there. Jerome Powell's not recognizing.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay, so you got any predictions for this year on volume? Real estate rise, or you can predict anything you want.
I see. I'm telling people right now, rates are good right now.
Yep.
Let's refinance you out of those 7.5s and into a 6,
Yep.
or 6.25,
Yep.
and I'm doing them at no cost. And I say the reason I want to do it at no cost because I could get you into the high 5s, but I'll do you at 6.25, so I can cover all your costs because the difference in that payment that you're gonna, if you spend the money, doesn't make sense if you're going to refinance it in 6 months.
Right.
And I think sometime this summer, maybe late in the summer, we're going to see rates drop significantly. Probably. If Kevin Warsh's first Fed meeting will be in June.
Okay. Is that when he comes in, or he comes in?
He comes in May. But his first FOMC meeting will be in June. I think we'll probably get a half a point drop there. And of course, I'm just gut feeling. I don't
Yeah.
have any data to back that up with, but I've been doing this a long time, and I've been listening to Barry Habib for a long time,
Forever.
And
Me
I
too.
think he'll keep dropping them as it makes sense. And I think some of the things that Trump's has done over the last year will start to materialize during that time. And I think I'm telling everybody, hey, expect to be refinancing again in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And
Well, that kind of gets back to buy the house and date the rate. And we kind of said that. I don't know that I ever.
That's the other thing. As the rates come down, the values go up.
Yeah.
Because there'll be more people
more interest,
buying.
more
So
demand.
so
Yep.
buy the house now in the 6% range, and don't worry, because if you wait until it gets down to 5,
Right.
you're going to pay that extra. And as that appreciation goes up, you want to own. You don't want to be waiting to own.
Right.
So if that house is $500,000 and it's going to be worth $525
Yep.
a year from now, or whatever it's going to be, you want to have that equity be yours,
Yep.
not the.
Okay, go back. Don't pick a date necessarily, but back in a more normal time. What percentage of your business was purchases as opposed to refis over your 30 years?
I've
plus
always
business?
I've always been a purchase guy, so we've always put emphasis on purchases. And you realtors always say, hey, you come in when the interest rates go up, you come in and solicit us for business. But where were you when the interest rates were low?
Right.
All you're doing was refinances.
Yep.
And you go, hey, Ed's always been coming in here.
Always. Well,
So-
you always have.
So I've always pushed purchases, because refinances, when the rates tick up, you lose your pipeline.
Right.
So if you're not locked, things go up.
So for
let's
you,
hold
you were
off.
never. I've just assumed that you always would done refis. Wasn't something you and
I've
I
always-
would necessarily talk
But
about.
I've always pushed on purchases. So we were probably 70% purchase,
Okay.
30% refis.
Okay, so that's the number I was looking for. So 70, 30, 30% refis. There's been 0 refis in the last 3 years.
Yeah, other
4
than
years.
people that just need money.
Right. Okay. Which that's a whole nother conversation. Okay. So
Lots of
0.
HELOCs.
So now that we have a significant number of purchases in the north of 7. Okay. So you got a refi market, which is awesome. So good for you. I mean, I always ignore that because it doesn't mean anything to me, other than if you were a customer that bought a home from us in the last few years. Guess what? Now it's time to talk.
A lot
to
of people are pulling cash out, so they have money to buy something else.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, so it's interesting because, and we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. So if you've got any words of wisdom, get ready. But the sales season, and again, the sales season to me translates to mortgage originations. It's the same.
Starts
It's
when
gotten
income
shorter
tax refunds
and shorter
start coming in.
and shorter over the last 25 years. It seems like it used to start in January or February, and then we might actually all the way go through August. And then it seems like, wait a minute, well, we don't start, maybe we start in February, and then it kind of slowed down in July, and then it started slowing down in June. And man, oh man, I mean, the sales season is now, it's certainly 4 months, like March, April, May, February, March, April, May, maybe half of June. So it made me think of something. I mean, I hadn't even thought about it until you just said it. So we got the new Fed chair coming in May. We've got interest rates that are improving. So in theory, let's get some juice in there. Maybe we can sell some homes in March and April and May. But if we were in theory to slow down like we have, peak sales in June, well, heck, if we start to see some significant interest rate cuts, or we start to see interest rates even in the mid 5s, I mean, 4.5 or sub 5%, I think would be awesome. I mean, it would be awesome. But I don't think we need to be there. I think if we could sustain rates in the mid 5s, maybe we have a sales season that goes past May or June. God forbid we go to July or August and we have a good summer.
And especially in California, that the California buyers, they see the interest rates go down, they all say, well, let's buy now, let's buy now.
Yeah.
And I just got to get this offer accepted.
Right.
Put $100,000 over list price.
Yeah, we don't want that though.
No.
There's that balance.
Yeah.
So,
I had a borrower in 21 that bid $245,000 over list price in Huntington Beach.
what was list priced?
It was like $1.5 million.
Okay,
and
so-
he bid $1,745,000, and no appraisal contingency, no loan contingency, gigantic deposit. Guy is a designer for Tesla, and he got outbid by $5,000, and they took it.
Yeah, of course they did.
I'm
That happened
going-
all the time.
It's
We were
for
getting 20, 30.
$5,000.
Well, we were getting 20, 30, 50 offers. And if you weren't, an offer at list price was, really? How serious are you?
Exactly.
You know, I got 20 bids, over bids, 5-10% over asking. And it's crazy with huge down payments. I would always do that to this day. I'm like, where did all these people come from? You know, and where did all this money come
They
from?
all lost their houses in 2010,
And then there's that.
bought cheaper houses and got out of debt, and they learned their lesson, and they're not leveraging them up. Everybody's got equity now.
Yeah. Well, and
Hence-
everyone's got equity now.
Hence the REO thing is not probably I wouldn't expect the REOs to jump up.
I can't imagine the equity position that we at least have here. I mean, I know maybe there's some areas in Texas or Florida where there's some challenges, but what we see here, just the equity position is, you'll see the, oh my God, the defaults surged by 20%. Yeah, because there was 3 of them before, and now there's 4 of them.
Exactly.
That's nothing, and we've been through those days. So,
Yep.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, we could do this all day.
Yes,
So
we could.
again, thanks for coming in.
All right.
I appreciate you.
Happy to be here.
All right, my friend.
Hey.
All right, our market forecast is March 11th. We're shooting today on what is the date? February 24th or so.
25th.
So we're about 2 weeks away. So I'll have Ed's video posted here in the next couple of days. But just know if you're watching this, reserve your ticket. We're at Ito Benzivi's place, Highland Fairview. Only holds 125 people, so get your tickets quick. We will be full. So, but anyway, thanks for coming in, my buddy.